What is love?
Well, first I'm gonna say that a lot of people try to make love this complicated thing. It's really not. It's just putting your in marriage anyway, putting your significant other, your spouse, ahead of yourself, leading with your heart with every decision that you make, wanting to see them win as an individual, understanding that if they're winning as an individual, that they're happy, everything's going well, it only can benefit the marriage. So that's sacrifice. I would say the biggest thing is making sure that they know how much they mean to you through your actions, not just your words. So that's.
I feel like love is patient and love is kind. Um, Love is an action to show. You have to show the other person that you love them and figure out your love language, whether it's affection, buying things. Everybody's thing is different. Um, I feel like in a marriage, you just have to be patient and just be kind to each other, and you have to sacrifice. So I just try to continue to show him every day how much I love him, um, whether it's doing things or taking the load off or just being affectionate. I just try to show him in different ways that I love him, but more than anything, I just try to be patient.
When do you feel the most loved?
You go first.
He don't know that I know he do this, but when he think I'm asleep, he pray over me, and I think that's when I feel the most loved.
For me, it's not one thing. For me, it's a lot of little things. She's very first and foremost, she's very patient with me. We come from completely different backgrounds, and my background is even all over the place just as an individual. And sometimes she has to wait on me to get there, you know, and she does it. She does it seemingly effortlessly. And then just she's a giver, and when she gives them in the sense of, it's not just material things, it's more so she's, like she says, she's a very affectionate person. So sometimes and I remember when we first got married, it was very foreign to me. She'd just come up and she just look at me, and just this is the look that she gives me, that I feel safe, that makes any sense. So yeah.
You feel like you had to process that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So now, how do you make marriage last?
Patience. Patience.
Yeah. And I would say patience, yeah, but I would also say, understanding that y'all are growing together. Like a lot of the times where I see a lot of marriages falter or have issues, is when you forget that you're dealing with another human being.
And keep it fun.
Yeah.
Date.
Yeah, like, I do something, you're going to be easier on yourself than you are on anybody else. But you have to understand that now this is an extended version of you. Your partner is an extended version of you. The two shall become one. And it sounds cute, sounds very poetic, until the process actually has to happen, because like you're coming from different backgrounds, different ideas of what marriage was. You may base, I know we had this discussion, our examples were our parents. There were certain roles that the man and the woman played in the household that subconsciously you expect when you come into your relationship, and it's not until you have that first disagreement where each person's expectations are like buttoned up against each other. Like, okay, you're the man of the house, You pay the bills, you take the garbage out, you do this, do that. Okay. Well, you're the woman of the house. You gonna cook my food every night, brother. You know. And that happens, and it's like, okay, how are we gonna work this? How are we gonna fix it? And it's getting in there and working and showing up and working and like, okay, this is our marriage. What are we gonna do? We make the rules. You know, it's not what mama did, it's not what daddy did, it's what works for us and what's gonna make each person feel valued. So a lot of times I remember, well, this is weird. I just had this is crazy. My wedding vows. It was really, that was the first time, as I can say this is our second marriage. Remember my stepmother called me and me and her talked, and I was like, I had it written out what I want to say, and I was trying to memorize it, and I was like, I know I'm not gonna be able to remember everything, so I ended up just speaking from the heart, and the last thing I said was, "I die for you." Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know where it came from, and that's the part of, like, everybody was caught up in the emotion, because I don't really show much, but that was the first, it came out and I was like, what does that mean? And I've been learning it every day for going on 6 years. It's not about me physically giving my life, but I will if I need to. It's more so about every part of me, the selfishness, the just any part of me that could hurt her, I'm willing to kill. And there's a lot of people that don't think of it like that. You know, it's hard. Marriage is probably the most vulnerable that you have to be with another person. You don't get to, in a dating, you get to go home. You can put your best foot forward, and you don't have to worry about anything because you control how much they see. In a marriage, this person is the last person that you see before you go to bed, and the first person you see when you wake up in the morning. And a lot of times they see you, depending on who gets up first, they'll see you before you even wake up. There are times I wake up, she's just looking. I'm like, they know everything, and they come and show up anyway and tell you they love you. That right there is one of the most selfless things. You go from being single and being selfish and caring about nobody but yourself, and then you're thrust into this selfless act that has a forever tag on it. You just gotta show up. You gotta show up and go to work every day. It ain't gonna be pretty, and it's okay.
I mean,
That
what do
was
I
good.
say after that? I can't
That
say
was
nothing
good.
after that.
That preaches right there.
I mean, wow.
So silly.
Everything that he said, I agree with. You do have to show up every single day, and you have to put the work in. And I guess for me as a woman, I feel like you never get too comfortable. If you met this man looking good, you taking care of yourself, you just have to continue to do those things. You have to continue to date. You have to continue to date. You have to continue to just show up and show out, and just have that affection, for your husband, and be friends more than anything. Like, this is my dog. Like, you have to be friends, and you have to have that relationship. You have to be able to have uncomfortable conversations. I feel like communication in a marriage is what's gonna make that marriage work more than anything. Open communication.
We've been through it, man.
Yeah.
It's like, I tell anybody, they hear our story and they're like, "Oh, that's so romantic." I'm like, okay. This part of it is, but it was a lot of ugliness, and we took a lot of people a lot of our family went through it with us. And I ain't gonna say I had to grow up, and that's one of the. A lot of people ask, how did you decide that? She's even asked me, like, when did you? Because we didn't date the second time around, and I purposely did it like that. We went out, we hung out. I enjoyed the friendship. When we divorced the first time, the friendship was what got damaged, and I damaged it. And when we got that back, that was the most important thing to me. You know, like she said, this is my dog. Like, for real. Like, we the tag team champs of the world. We don't do nothing without each other. Like, you roll up on her, female, male, whatever. You got to see both of us. It's not just, you know. And I think in every aspect, she holds a special place in me, in my heart, where it's just my mother, my father, my siblings, and her. You know, and of course the kids, but they're part of us. But you just don't, man, look, it's some stuff you can't even talk about. It's just so crazy. But we really had to push, you know, and for me especially, I had to put aside a lot of my hang-ups, my own stuff, you know, and she helped me through it. Like, you gotta, when she says uncomfortable conversations, I'm talking about whatever baggage you bring in, not just from being single. I'm talking about whatever baggage the unsettled baggage that you bring in from childhood. You know, if you don't, and especially for the black man, it's like, we don't get to be vulnerable. We don't get to be out here and be weak. You know, society don't let that happen. So when you come in your home, it gotta be that peace there. It gotta be that place where you're just like Superman's fortress of solitude. It's like when you get in there, you can just ball. You know, I lost my grandmother during this time, and that was, I think, the first time really that outside of the wedding that I just couldn't do it. I was like, you know, an emotional wreck. You know, and some of the stuff that about my family that embarrassed me, as far as just how we communicate and deal, she had to see that for the first time, you know, and she was there, you know. You can't put enough words on that. Just showing, like I said, showing up means a lot, and I mean really showing up, not just physically being there. I mean engaged, because it is for everything that can destroy a marriage. As long as you're willing, as long as you're leading with your heart, leading with love, in the sense that knowing they're not perfect, but knowing more so that you're not perfect, and everything else just seems to work itself out. Because you're gonna have folks that are gonna try to distract you and whatever. This right here, I tell people all the time, this right here only means something to us. People don't care about that. So what are you going to show them to let them know that you ain't playing about your marriage? You're not playing about your spouse. You're not playing about your relationship. I'm talking to myself.
I'm like, get into it. Get into it. I feel like this is a conversation that's not had enough. Like,
no, it's not. But you know, it's too,
especially in our community.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But you know, like for us, I think we had this, and this is not like, she'll tell you I love my parents sometimes to a fault, but I had to, let me tell you when the relationship for us got better. When I was honest and said that I've never seen a good marriage. You know, just a little history. I watched my mother be abused for a long time, you know, and so my main goal as a young man was that when I get married, I'm not going to do that. But there's so much more. And then for me to come stay with my father, his marriage was completely different. So I thought because it was different, it was better. But they had their own stuff, and they're human. You don't have your stuff, and they processed it in different ways. So I gravitated to that, fighting what I know was bad, because I saw my mama get hurt, and I brought that into our marriage, and that wasn't good, because that was just those people's ways of coping with whatever hurt they were refusing to deal with, you know. And I guess for me, I look at it like, I don't want my imperfection to ruin the most perfect thing that I've been a part of. I'm willing to. I want, if anything happens, whether it be, because this is until death do us part, whether it be she leaves this earth before I do, or I do, or whatever, I want to be able to hold my head high and say that every single day, whether it was pretty or not, I was there, she knew I was there, and I was not just this this showpiece, and neither was she, you know. If it helps anybody, if it helps anybody along the way, that's fine. But for me, I'm selfish with it when it comes to that. I'm like, hey, if it does something for you, that's cool. But this is ours. This is our thing, because I can't tell you that it's gonna work out for you the same way, because it was points in this that I didn't know it was gonna work out for us. You know, like I said, we did not date this time. Not like I said, because the first time we got married, I think it was 7 months of dating. 7 to 8 months of dating, and it was like this whirlwind thing, and it was like, and then as fast as it happened, that's how fast it ended. Yeah. You know, and we, to the point where we were divorced and still processing the relationship. Yeah. You know, and you don't, as a man, she can cry and she can mourn and she can do all that. I can't do that. I couldn't do that. I had to go to, and some of that is society and some of that is me. I you know, in the sense of I grew up around very strong people, and I don't know if y'all know anything about island folks, but they don't. It's not, no. You're gonna go to work. This is what you do. It's this, and you, all that other stuff, push that down. Deal with that some other time. But when do you deal with it? You know, when do you deal with all of that stuff? And the reason, and then now you have it where everybody want to be everybody want to be a bad bitch. All the females want to be a bad bitch. All the dudes want to be real niggas. Guess what? I walk in my house, if I'm hanging out with my boys, yeah, I'm gonna be tough. But I'm not gonna be. I don't have to be tough with my woman, and she don't have to be anything but herself with me. But you got too many people putting on for the outside, putting on this show, and then when they're home alone, they don't know how to stop acting. And then next thing you know, y'all were just doing fine. Y'all, now the marriage is over, or somebody's cheating or doing whatever. When all it took was you being real with the person that you say you love. You can't tell me you love me if you can't be real with me. If you can't take it, tell me your feelings are hurt. You don't lash out in anger, cuss me out. You hurt my feelings. I'll respond better to that than you cussing me because your feelings are hurt. Because guess what? It's still true. I hurt your feelings. Now you work on, because you love the person, you work on your response. Like there are times we've had arguments where I couldn't go to sleep. You want to go to sleep. You mad? Oh no, I ain't talking. No, I ain't. But you can't go to sleep, and you have to, until you have the conversation. Or sometimes it's just, I'm sorry. Whether you agree with it, I'm sorry. And not sorry, and sometimes it may not even be I'm sorry for what I said, but because I love you, I could have found a better way to say that. And when couples start doing that more, all this stuff, you know, growing up in and out of church, why submit to your husbands, and we take that as men and like, you know, do what I say when I say do it.
And that's not the truth.
She ain't no little girl.
Right.
She's not a little girl. How you think that's gonna play out for you? You gonna tell a grown woman who was doing her own thing before y'all got together that she gonna do what you say no matter what, and that's no. That's not what it is. Submission is a choice, and it's not. It is not without its requirements. I don't expect my wife to submit to me if I'm not submitted to something. If I'm not submitted to God, a lot of these cats the woman is in truth. A lot of these cats in this church, the woman is really the head of the household when it comes to spiritual things, because she's the one praying. She's the one that's doing the heavy spiritual lifting. She's the one going to God about the marriage. She's the one talking to the children about this. While you sitting there, but you just want to be the king of the castle. To whom much is given, much is required. And so
that's right.
That was one of the things I pulled away, praying over her, praying over our children. I remember my father would do it. I remember remember my earliest memories of him was him stretched out on the floor, weeping before the Lord. And I'm a little kid, and I'm like, what the heck is he doing? And he pulled me down, and I laid down with him. And he told me, this is what you do. Fast forward, my brother and sister get sick. My sister, we get sick. He's praying over her. This is what you do. So I looked at that and I was like, if nothing more, even if this is just ritual, my faith in it will show through anything, will show my wife how much I love her, and that's part of the reason why I tried to do it when she wasn't paying attention. But and like to me, like I said, the biggest thing to me is just understanding. Once you fail at something enough, why do it again if you're not gonna try to win? You know, and that's it for me. Like, you say something? I feel like I'm talking too much.
Hey, I feel like you spit the truth though. Like,
Yeah.
That's real.
I feel like in or out of church, you have to keep God first. I always say God is love and love conquers all, and I truly believe that. You gotta have that foundation in your marriage before you do anything. So yeah, you gotta have that foundation, and just put in the work from there.
Might move along. I can talk about this all day.
It's beautiful though. Like, it's beautiful. Cause then you touched on so many different little points, like survival patterns, limiting beliefs, like that being vulnerable. Because we don't talk about the feelings and emotions that come along with being triggered from being vulnerable.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna shut up. For me too, you know, for me, I'd never been single. In my mind, I married. My first marriage was at 19. Went from that into another relationship. It was always another relationship. That's how I got over her. Just dealt with it. Just another relationship. And when we split the first time, for the first time in my life, I was alone. I was really single. I was really got a chance to deal with me, and during that time, somebody very close to me was going through something that life altering, that didn't just affect him, but affected everybody in his orbit. And he's a mentor of mine. And I looked, and when I saw him going through that at the age he was at, I've always sort of patterned myself after him, even when I wasn't trying to. And when I saw him going through that, knowing the guy the way I know him, for me, looking at the judgment he was dealing with and all that, that wasn't what really stuck out to me. It was that here this person is as accomplished as he is in this area, in these areas of his life, to still be dealing with this devil in his orbit. I didn't want that to happen. So it forced me to really address the ugliness in me, the things that people find out you'll be ashamed of, you know, that type of stuff. And everybody got it, you know. And from there, it just snowballed. Like it got to the point where it changed even how I looked for a mate. And when that happened, it led me back to her. And it was funny because the whole time she like, you my husband. I'm like, you crazy. Like, we are divorced. I got the papers that prove it. But she was like, no, you're my husband. And so when it turned me back that way, I'm like, you know what? And it started with a conversation, and the response, you know, she knew everything, and I never got that response from any woman that I was dating, you know. So for me, it's like, is extra motivation. Like I told her, I said, I don't want to win with anybody else. You know, you get these guys who they struggle, they go through, they get their big break on whatever it may be, whatever their career field or profession is, and it takes them to another level, and then that's when they pick some Johnny come lately comes and benefits from. No, I don't want that, because then I'm knowing how I'm wired, I'm going to constantly be wondering, is this why you're here? With my wife, I don't have to wonder that. She was with me. She took me to my first PT test for prison.
Yeah.
Took me to my first PT test for the first police department that I was a part of. She had she was my ride to work for a while, you know. So she's seen me at my lowest point, and it never how she saw me made me uncomfortable. When a person sees so much good in you that you're like, and you know you better than anybody's like, what are you seeing? Because I don't see it. You don't let them type of people out of your life. You know it is right. People are in your life for a season, but you gotta be able to identify when they're only there for a season and when they're there for seasons. And so even when we were apart, it was like weren't, because she wasn't a seasoned person. She was a seasons person. And so I'm just thankful for it.
I think that is beautiful.
Kill me.
You ain't know all that was gonna come out.
Nah.
But she said, she told me, she's like, I'm gonna let you, what's the name? Let you talk, because you say stuff I don't even know you be. I'm like,
Yeah, he don't talk a lot.
Right.
So when he don't, so it'd be good to hear him talk because he don't say a lot.
Still water's gonna be.
Yeah.
I always think. But
Yeah.
And then there's so much wisdom in there, like.
Look. Hey, look, you out here, the school of hard knocks, real, man. Baby, I try to.
He keep me grounded. Because I could be a firecracker. So.
Yeah. Well, I had to, believe it or not, I was a firecracker. You made me slow. You made me slow down. I'd go off in a minute, but I had to be okay. Yeah.
And we work. We just we fit.
Yeah, Mary, not. You have no clue. But,
yeah.
Okay, we good. I think I'm trying to keep talking.
No, we good.
Oh, man.
It's so much good stuff came out. All right, I'm gonna change gears altogether.
Okay.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
All right, what was your experience like with short stuff?
Yeah. So I love short stuff photography. Keisha, she's fun, creative. My mind be all over the place with ideas and things to do. So she's even wired worse than me. So we work great together. She did our wedding pictures, and she did my daughter's senior portraits, and we was in the woods. I mean, it was amazing. Like, she gets the job done. I love short stuff. I will recommend her to anyone.
For me, I think you just captured his pictures. The pictures that my favorite picture is two. It's a tie, actually. There's we're having a conversation. The wedding day was, like most wedding days, chaotic. You took his picture and you captured us in the middle of this conversation, but it sums us up. It sums us up in a nutshell. Like, she was, I knew I had to give her some bad news, and I told her, and she's like, okay, that's it. This particular person had did everything like wrong, and so it was just the they say that I never seen it, never felt it when they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. It's that one,
yeah, you caught us in that moment. I was livid, and he was like telling me, calm down, it's okay. and you took that picture not even knowing the conversation we was having. And I share that picture every year for our anniversary. Like, that is my favorite picture.
And then there's the one kissing on the forehead.
With the veil.
Where I'm just kissing you on your forehead.
Oh.
And so is that one? It's one more. It slips my mind. But those 3 pictures, to be honest with you, we didn't have to take no more pictures because you captured in that moment. Those 3 pictures to me are how we're vulnerable with each other, the love that we have for each other, and the 1A is the one that hangs up in the house. I love that picture.
Yeah.
Like our baby girl sees it every day. She's like, "Mommy, it's so pretty." And I don't think either one of us going in thought that it could, because you did our engagement pictures, you did our all that. So so it was you captured the whole process.
Yeah.
And like she said, I recommend it to anybody. I think.
And you made the process easy.
Yeah.
Newly married couples that's getting married. Budget. Do not budget on your pictures. Yeah. Pay for them. Get them done the correct way. Cut out some cake or some food or something. I'm telling you, do not slip on your pictures.
I'll be honest with you.
Those pictures last. Those pictures last a lifetime.
Look, I'll be honest with you, the only part of our wedding that I felt that we could not have cut a corner on, spent less on, was the photos. Everything else, it was like, when we renew, we're probably going to just do this, destination, whatever. So you might have to make a trip.
Yeah.
But, it was... Yeah, anybody.
The experience was great.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and it wasn't about,
us knowing you.
Yeah.
Personally, because I can know you and be like, Keisha, that's not it. Short stuff, that's not it. You just made it easy. You made it a great experience, and I had no complaints. So.
All of his back tears.
I don't do pictures, and I didn't. So when she said about this, she asked me about it. I was like, and she called out what I was like, who is it? Like, I gotta know.
That's exactly what he said.
And she said, Keisha. I was like, okay.
He said, who is it?
Like, cause I don't do. So.